Good afternoon and happy Wednesday. I want to start and thank the GBAC team for inviting us out here. We are very privileged and humbled to be part of their Registered Technologies program that we've rolled out. We've been working with with that team for about a year now. And I do want to specifically call out a special thanks to Michael Diamond, who's been working with me for about 2 years now. And he saw the value in what we're going to discuss today early on and helped deliver this to where we are today. That being said, today I'm going to be reviewing a very tried and tested and true product, qPCR, or PCR as most people know it. And we'll talk about its approach in a novel way. So testing for building environment and health, using it as a non-invasive surveillance test as well. So a little bit about LuminUltra, because our name is relatively new. In fact, it's entirely new in the halls of ISSA show. We've been around for 25 years. Coincidentally, we got our start in ATP, but not the ATP that you're used to. We actually picked the hardest thing imaginable to try and measure living biology, and that was activated sludge. Turns out that that's a wildly useful tool whenever you're managing wastewater treatment plants and things of that nature, and have since evolved and grown. Thankfully, as a company, we've grown to support nearly 4,000 clients across over 100 countries, and more recently have created some pretty cool partnerships along the way. That said, I've got too many to highlight, but here on the bottom here, I did want to call out a few. We've added the GBAC logo and are super proud of that one. But additionally, some other names that you might recognize, like ExxonMobil and Ecolab. We've been partners with them for many, many years at this point. More recently, through the pandemic, our CEO was able to shift our manufacturing capabilities and to answer our headquartered home country's call of delivering clinical reagents for COVID-19 to the Public Health Agency of Canada. So that's a little bit about who we are, but what it is that we do. The reality of it is that we recognize that microbes impact literally everything. And frankly, it costs industry, regardless of what it might be, billions of dollars a year, whether it's through asset protection or microbial inhibited corrosion, things of that nature. And so we help our customers save money, protect the environment, and improve lives. We help them understand what the impact to microbes do within their business, within their industry. And additionally, we help to change the way that they view those microbes so they can actually get into microbial management. The only good thing I've seen come out of the pandemic has been that all of you have heard the term PCR at this point. Imagine what it was like in 2018 to try to explain to somebody what polymerase chain reaction actually meant. The thing that I want to make a quick level set on, so we're all aligned, is that basically PCR takes the small amounts of DNA or RNA sequencing and amplifies it to a detectable level. It's much faster than traditional methods. When you start looking at things like cultures that take weeks, this takes hours to do. And they are incredibly accurate, incredibly sensitive, as well as the fact that it's been referred to as the gold standard in clinical. Where LuminUltra fits into this piece is through the technology platform that we've helped develop to miniaturize that. In fact, I brought along my case with me here today. It flew in from Atlanta, Georgia. It's designed to be portable, so it can be on site, as well as it's designed to be used as a central location for small and medium-sized businesses to offer this as a service. The unit itself weighs about 5.5 pounds. It's the size of a toaster, if you will, and it's designed to have 16 samples run simultaneously. For what we're talking about today, which is pathogenic detection, and specifically in the realm of SARS-CoV-2, it'll actually do 15 simultaneous samples with one negative control. It just helps add to its accuracy. You can, however, run other tests on that, and I'll touch on those in just a moment. Now, in terms of how it works, the important part to understand is early on, we are a partner in the space. We recognize that qPCR, although it's been around for 30 years, using it in this sort of novel approach for environmental surveillance and validation of cleaning processes and protocols, it's relatively new and people don't understand how to do it, where to pull samples from, how to interpret those results that we're getting. So that's one of the things that LuminUltra prides itself on. So we have a technical sales support team that helps all of our clients. We have an application team to help with the results interpretation, and we have internal validations built in. As I mentioned, the testing equipment is designed to be portable, and the results are done typically in less than 2.5 hours, depending on the target that you're looking for. And more importantly than anything, it's 99.5% accurate. Unfortunately, I work for scientists, and they will not let me round that number up. Now, when we start looking to where we can apply this into a practical use case for the world, I'd have a generic, just skeleton outline of what any restaurant ever. This could be in a college campus. This could be the Chop House in Atlanta, which is attached to Truist Park. But the yellow dots are what we're going to call high touch areas. So we want to take samples from those high touch areas. We want to evaluate a space and look at it from where are there environmental bottlenecks? How do people interact in that space? What are things that they can't avoid touching? And we want to focus our concentration around that. For our sampling procedures, we often indicate people to do pooled sampling, meaning we would take 4 to 5, maybe even 6 of these dots and put it on a single test. Doesn't matter if I found it on the napkin dispenser on the left-hand side of the south side trash can. I want to make sure the area is there. So we want to make sure that that area has been validated. If we find it one place, you're likely going to find it in other places. We see this as really a threefold piece. So first off, you have the ability to verify cleaning protocols and procedures. We can find hotspots in areas of entire buildings or environments where we can target and recognize that we need to change the protocols that we've got in place and reevaluate maybe the way we approach it. Secondly, if we find COVID or SARS-CoV-2 on a surface, somebody had to bring it there. So this is a non-invasive way to measure it in the environment, to check on the people and the occupants of the room or of that building, and know that you now have it or somebody there is a carrier, and you can then seek to have clinical validations to help determine who it might be. And then lastly, through the pandemic, we've seen quite a few businesses get their doors knocked on by 3-letter agencies telling them that somebody in their business tested positive and they needed to shut that down. This was incredibly crucial when we started defining who was essential and what businesses were required to stay open. And some of the challenges that we saw, thankfully, we had some forward thinkers in the crowd on that one. They already started doing this. So that way when somebody came knocking about it and they were saying, you need to close those doors, they were able to respond back with the data to show if somebody had COVID, they didn't get it here. We've evaluated our space and we do so continuously. In terms of how the test itself actually works, for anybody that hasn't had a COVID test and that off chance, it works very similarly. We take that same flocked swab and instead of tickling the underside of your brain, we put it to a high touch surface. And again, we want to take a pooled approach initially, so 4 to 5 surfaces. Anything more than that, we start to see a redeposit of any material we might have found and it becomes null and ineffective. You'll then do a little bit of sample manipulation through it. And this is a pretty easy process, but part of it is actually just heating up any of the samples. So in case we did find active infectious virus, we can go ahead and heat that up, lyse open those cells, and make sure that it doesn't actually become transmitted to the person who's doing the sampling. And then lastly, you'll load it into the device itself. I often call it the Easy Bake Oven. Once you shut the lid on it, you put it through the software, which is a touch screen, or there's a PC version, so it can stand alone or hook up to a laptop, PC. And you let it run. It'll run for an hour and a half. It's a hands-off procedure, so once you get to that point, you shut the lid, you can go home for the night, you can get your results back the next day, you can go to lunch, you don't have to be there present for it. Operationally, this fits into either doing spot checks throughout a given day, or you can just do a whole batch at the end of the night after everybody's gone through and just use it as a validation for the disinfection and the cleaning protocols. Now, the results that come out are incredibly easy to interpret. We offer them in both quantitative and qualitative approach. On the right-hand side of the screen, it shows really the pass-fail. Did we find it? Did we not find it? If it is detected, we do give that quantification, and this is the unique position around that Q in the qPCR. On the right-hand side, we will also provide the S-curves. This just gives people a visual understanding of how it works and where things are going. They're great for using reports. Basically, the sooner it takes off, the higher the concentration of your virus. So if you do find a positive, you can go back through and you can reevaluate and retest and plot that across a timeline to see if we're getting better or if we're getting worse. Are we spreading infection or are we reducing that? One of the things that's great about this software is if you are using this as a service, if you're going to offer this to clients or to multiple people, you can run their data together. You can actually just click on the blue dots on the bottom of the screen and it'll remove that another person's data. So therefore you don't have to worry about sharing something sensitive with another client or having to run the test multiple times. Now, as a COVID box or a COVID technology alone, it's already a pretty good thing. But qPCR can be used in a wide array of different pathogenic detections, and we're working on things like C. diff, like cryptosporidium. Additionally, more recently, we've actually started, based on what we came from, the water world, we've built together a pretty impressive target list around things that impact your waterways. More recently, the Legionella species and Legionella pneumophila assays, so this can now be part of your water management plan within your facility as well. The Legionella species as well as the Legionella pneumophila assays have been independently validated by a CDC elite lab using proficiency testing from the CDCs themselves. So we're very happy to carry that piece with us. That's all I have today. It was a deep dive, very quick. I would love to pick up the conversations. My information's here on the screen. Please feel free to reach out directly. We're very happy, very humbled to be part of GBAC's kickoff for their registered technologies. Thank you so much.